Good evening, everyone. My name is Zakano Cummings, and I will give a summary of Burridge Synoptic Gospels, Chapter 8, from the reading, What are the Gospels? So here, Burridge transitions from examining the broader genre classification of the Gospels to conducting a focused study on the Synoptic Gospel, which are Matthew, Mark, and Luke. He analyzes their literary form, narrative strategies, and how these texts are interconnected. The Synoptic Gospels as a biography. Central to Burridge's argument is the assertion that the Synoptic Gospels fit firmly within the ancient bios genre. He draws attention to their shared convictions with the Greco-Roman biographies, such as a central focus on Jesus Christ, the inclusion of sayings and deeds, and a narrative structure that moves toward the subject's death. Burridge recognizes ongoing scholarly debates over literary dependence, including the Markan priority and the Q hypotheses, but maintains that regardless of these source theories, the Gospels operate as biographies rather than as purely theological treatises or mythic narratives. So there are some distinctive features of each Gospel. In Matthew, the distinguished consist of structured teachings discoursed by Matthew. Matthew portrays Jesus as a new Moses, highlighting his role as a teacher and a lawgiver. Mark is characterized by urgency and immediacy. Mark presents a narrative driven by passion and a swift movement. Luke, on the other hand, is noted for a universal scope. Luke emphasizes marginalized groups and employs an orderly, historiographical approach to the narrative. Burridge contends that while each synoptic gospel offers its own theological emphasis, they collectively reinforce the classification of the genre as a biography. Their individual differences serve to enrich the overall portrait of Jesus without undermining the unity of the genre. So there are some strengths to Burridge analysis. First of all, Burridge's strong advocacy for reading the synoptics as bios is compelling, especially in light of his detailed comparisons with ancient biographies, such as those by Burridge and Suetonius. Secondly, he effectively challenges older views that regarded the Gospels as subgenres or solely theological documents, instead grounding them in recognizable literary conventions. The final strength, his nuanced approach, respects both the unity and diversity presented in each gospel distinctive voice. As in any literary writing, there are some limitations. By emphasizing the biographical genre, Burridge's conclusion at times risks minimizing the theological distinctiveness of the Gospels. The theological and liturgical roles these texts play in early communities can be underrepresented. Secondly, his treatment of the synoptic problem is somewhat brief. Although he acknowledged source theories, he does not fully explore how literary dependence might influence genre classification. Finally, the comparison to Greco-Roman bios, while it is informative, can feel overly rigid. The Gospels are not strictly biographies. They also function as theological narratives with eschatological significance. In conclusion, Burridge's work makes a significant contribution by situating the Synoptic Gospels within the context of ancient literary genres. However, the critique highlights that genre is not an exhaustive descriptor. The synoptics should be recognized as hybrid texts, simultaneously biography, proclamation, and theological confession. Burridge framework serve as a corrective previous scholarship, but should be balanced with an appreciation for the unique theological intentions embedded within these texts. And I hope this gives you an understanding of chapter 8 summary. Have a great night, everyone.